Every time you speak, every time you listen, a silent war is being fought. You believe your choices are your own, the products of a rational mind and a free will. But what if your will is merely the final stop on a track laid down by someone else? What if the very nature of your mind is designed not for truth, but for exploitation? We are all participants in a dark dance of influence, where the music is composed of our deepest fears, and the steps are dictated by the shadows we refuse to acknowledge. Question 1. Are you the predator, the prey, or is the line between them thinner than you dare to admit? Explanation: deep within the human condition lies a natural unconscious predisposition, an instinct not just to survive, but to prey upon and subjugate others for personal gain. This is the bedrock of dark psychology. It isn't an external monster, it is inherent within every one of us, no one excluded. We often view ourselves as the protagonists of a moral story, yet we navigate a world where this dark aspect of the mind is present in every romantic relationship, every corporate boardroom, and every political stage. To understand this is to acknowledge a terrifying truth. The capacity to use devious techniques of mental manipulation is woven into the very fabric of our unconscious mind. You are constantly faced with a choice that defines your existence. Will you continue to ignore these secrets and remain a victim, or will you accept the power to influence others to do what they would never normally do? The predator does not always strike with teeth. Often, they strike with the hidden principles of the mind, exploiting the fact that we are all, at our core, biologically wired to seek an advantage over our neighbor. Question 2. Is your mind truly your own, or is it merely a series of automated shortcuts designed for a world that no longer exists? Explanation: the human brain is an ancient machine operating in a modern world, and its greatest weakness is its own desire for efficiency. We are governed by a cognitive laziness deeply rooted in our nature. Effort is a cost, and our brain is desperate to limit that cost at every turn. To save energy, we rely on reasoning shortcuts developed in prehistoric times. When faced with danger, our ancestors didn't weigh every option. They reacted with the speed of an animal: fight, flight, or freeze. While this allowed us to evolve, it left us with a devastating vulnerability: the cognitive bias. These biases, the halo effect, the anchoring bias, the bandwagon effect, are the glitches in our mental software. They are the cognitive automatisms that manipulators leverage to hijack your decision-making process. When you make a fast decision, you aren't being decisive. You are being predictable. You are exposing yourself to the influence of those who know how to trigger these ancient shortcuts, turning your evolutionary survival mechanisms into the very tools of your conditioning. Question 3. At what point does the gentle nudge of persuasion become the invisible cage of manipulation? Explanation: the distinction between persuasion and manipulation is not found in the outcome, but in the sanctity of the human will. Persuasion is an art, a symbolic process where ideas are exchanged in an atmosphere of free will. It is the attempt to change an attitude through logic and words, leaving the other person the power to choose their own direction. But manipulation is a different beast entirely. It is a type of social influence that uses linguistic tricks, devious schemes, and deceptive methods to force a change in perception. It is, etymologically and practically, the act of forcing someone to act against their own self-interest. The manipulator does not seek a mutual exchange. They seek a coarse reworking of your reality for their own fraudulent gain. One uses a message to invite you, the other uses a trap to claim you. The terrifying reality is that both use the same psychological tools. Like a knife, these techniques are neutral. They can be used to provide nourishment or to commit an act of violence. The question is not just how you are being moved, but whether you still have the power to stop. Question 4. How much of your reality is a construct built by someone else's lies and emotional blackmail? Explanation: manipulators are architects of illusion. They do not just change your mind, they alter the very ground you stand on by distorting your vision of reality. The first tool in their arsenal is the lie, not just the simple falsehood, but the systematic use of deception to generate guilt, fear, and anger. They understand that your emotions are the keys to your personality. By targeting the emotional side of an individual, a manipulator can bypass the rational mind entirely. This is the essence of covert emotional manipulation, masking real intentions to steer someone else's feelings in a hidden way. It can escalate into mind control and brainwashing, where punitive practices and intimidation are used to keep the subject trapped in a reality where the manipulator's needs are the only priority. When someone knows your emotional triggers, they don't need to lock you in a room. They can simply build a cage out of your own insecurities and convince you that the door was never there to begin with. Question 5. If influence is a knife, have you been sharpening it to survive, or have you already begun to enjoy the cut? Explanation. We live in an era where the frequency of persuasive messages has reached an unprecedented scale, up to 3,000 advertisements a day in some parts of the world, all vying for a piece of your consciousness. Influence has become faster, more subtle, and far more discreet than it ever was in the ancient world. It is no longer just about public debate, it is about the hidden and discreet processes used by organizations, marketing firms, and individuals to meet their targets. This knowledge is a weapon. As you learn the secrets of dark psychology, how to trigger the biases, how to exploit the cognitive shortcuts, how to manipulate the perception of reality, you are handed a knife. You can use it to defend yourself, to protect your mind from those who would prey on you, or you can use it for evil purposes, to move groups and societies toward your own ends. The power to influence people's behavior is the power to get pretty much anything you want. But as you descend into the human mind to discover its secrets, you must ask yourself, when you learn to master the shadow, do you remain its master, or do you become its most devoted servant? We are creatures of habit, driven by ancient instincts and blinded by our own mental shortcuts. The world is not as it seems, and your mind is not as secure as you believe. You now possess the keys to the architecture of the shadow. You can choose to look away and remain the prey, or you can look into the darkness and learn to see. But remember, once you understand the mechanics of influence, you can never go back to being the person who was blissfully unaware of the strings. The knife is in your hands. How you use it, that is the only choice that truly belongs to you.